cultural events are lined up, such as contests, conferences, discussions, meeting of critics, writers, and readers, and artistic performances. Here in Cebu, we named our Pingkian event Tutok Cebuano. And Tutok Cebuano is one of the events being held across the country to celebrate the National Literature Month. And this year, the National Literature Month is in its 4th year. As well as the National Literature Month events in Cebu in the past 2 years would not have been possible without the partnership of the USC Cebuano Study Center with the Robinson's Galleria Cebu, which has also supported several public events of the center. So it is with great pleasure to have with us this morning Ms. Marion Concordia Sagisa, the representative of the marketing manager of Robinson's Galleria Cebu. And please help me welcome Ms. Marion Sagisa with a big round of applause.
Thank you, Hannah. Okay, so good morning everyone. No? We would like to acknowledge the presence of Rafi. Where's Rafi? Please wave your hand. Rafi is responsible for organizing this activity, no, from scratch, from negotiating with Galleria and up to the processing of permits, and now we are now witnessing the event, no, in reality. Okay, we also would like to acknowledge the presence of the participants and guests that we have right now. And according to Rafi, it's the whole mall, ang atuang audience. So, if naamoy free time, no, please sit and join us in this activity. Robinson's Galleria Cebu has been a witness to various display of skills and talents, ranging from sports, such as taekwondo, karate-do, basketball, human kinetics, through dance and songs, and to arts. And today, the mall is about to host the University of San Carlos Cebuano Study Center Literature Month by having this activity, Pingkian, Buwan ng Panitikan ng Pilipinas, whose objective is to promote Cebuano poetry and literature. So in behalf of Robinson's Galleria Cebu and Robinson's Land Corporation, we welcome everyone on this milestone. We encourage everyone to sit, enjoy, learn, and appreciate the beauty of Cebuano poetry and literature, our Cebuano culture. Again, welcome to this event, the Pingkian, Buwan ng Panitikan ng Pilipinas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sagisa, and for Robinson's Galleria Cebu's continued support for the nurturing of local arts and culture. And now, may we invite again, here in front, Ms. Sagisa, and Mr. Nino Loyola, Project Coordinator of Pingkian, Rafi Polinar, Event Organizer of Pingkian, and Dr. Joel Marie Stan, KWF Director for the University of San Carlos, to award a plaque of appreciation and token to Robinson's Galleria Cebu. The theme for this year's National Literature Month is Pingkian. Pingkian, or dialectical friction, or conflict igniting fire. So it describes a process or a movement of conflict or friction. And Pingkian was also the nickname used by the revolutionary leader and writer Emilio Jacinto. So I guess some of us here know about that. And Pingkian as a theme highlights the revolutionary function of literature as a springboard of dialogic discourses and discussion towards progress. So literature as a revolutionary process towards something greater. So we look at literature beyond the pages, beyond the words. We look at it as a force of change in our society. So such as in any dialogue, the extent of attention given to a particular topic or subject is crucial. In Cebuano, tutok means stare, right? And in Filipino, tutok means to focus. And both require to stare, and to focus both require paying close attention. May it be paying close attention to a thing, to a person, an idea, or thought. And here in Tutok Cebuano, we direct our attention on traditional and contemporary genres in literature. And we try to look into the Pingkian, or the dialogue between the contemporary and the traditional. Or we can say the dialogue between the past and the present, or the present and the past. So to give us an overview of the morning session of Tutok Cebuano, let us all welcome with a round of applause the Komisyon sa Wikang Filipino Director for the University of San Carlos, Dr. Joel Marie Stanley.
And to welcome you all in this event. It's sad, no? It's a bit sad to see that there are only a few people who are here in the venue. I hope that later on, as you hear the discussions of our panelists, you will take your steps towards the venue and join us in the conversation. Tertulya, para sa Buwanang Wika, I'll go to Filipino because the morning session is actually in Filipino. Ang Tertulya ng Buwanang Wika focuses on Jose Corazon de Jesus. Although Pingkian focuses on Emilio Jacinto, we would also like to open up the focus to Jose Corazon de Jesus because napansin namin na kadalasan sa mga, lalo na sa mga kabataan ngayon, ay naaliw na sila or binibigay na nila ang kanilang atensyon sa pagiging makata. Kasi nga, mapapansin natin na marami sa mga event ngayon ang spoken word poetry, balagdasan, flip-tops, and siguro, kailangan natin balikan kung sino nga ba ang kauna-unahang tao na nag-rise up sa balagtasan or sa pagiging makata. Siguro mas relate sila dito kay Jose Corazon de Jesus kasi si de Jesus ay nag-umpisa bilang isang makata as a child, bilang isang bata. Kasi 17 years old pa lang si Jose Corazon de Jesus nang mag-umpisa siyang sumulat ng mga tula. So, sana, hindi lamang natin bibigyan ng pansin si Emilio Jacinto, kundi bigyan din natin ng pansin si Jose Corazon de Jesus. Okay. Gusto ko rin po sana i-extend ang aking pasasalamat sa lahat ng sumuporta sa event na ito, lalo na sa Pingkian at sa Tertulya sa Buwanang Wika para sa Komisyon ng Wikang Filipino. Number one is ang Robinson's Galleria dahil binuksan nila ang kanilang venue para sa atin, para magkaroon tayo ng venue para sa pag-uusap tungkol sa Tertulya or sa kay Jose Corazon de Jesus. Nagpapasalamat din ako sa Komisyon ng Wikang Filipino kasi sinuportahan nila tayo sa event na ito. So, sana ang pag-uusap natin tungkol kay Jose Corazon de Jesus ay magbukas sa ating mga isipan at maging inspirasyon na hindi natin sa walang bahala ang ating panitikan, sariling panitikan at i-embrace natin siya kasi napaka-halaga ng panitikan para sa atin bilang tao at bilang bahagi ng ating kultura. Okay. So, siguro, bigyan na lang natin, siguro mag-enjoy na lang tayo sa ating pagtatalakay mamaya lamang para sa ating tertulya or malayang talakayan. So, thank you so much sa pagdalo ninyo dito at sana mag-enjoy kayo. Thank you.
Joining Dr. Tani na usapang Sebwano are Professor Desiree Balota, Dr. Trina Catipay, and Dr. Dominic Quilantang. Professor Desiree Balota, si Professor Desiree Balota ay nakapagtapos ng BS at English sa St. Teresa's College sa siyudad ng Cebu at MA Literature sa Cebu Normal University. Kasalukuyan niyang tinatapos ang kanyang disertasyon sa DA Litcom or Doctor of Arts in Literature and Communication sa Cebu Normal University. At ang kanyang pangatong aklat na kalipunan ng mga tula. Nagtuturo siya ng literature, speech, at writing sa kolehiyo. Nakatanggap na siya ng mga gantipala para sa kanyang mga tula galing sa Bathalad Cebu at Bathalad Mindanao. At siya rin ang former chair ng Women in Literary Arts or BILA Cebu. Si Dr. Dominic Quilantang ay produkto ng Cebu Normal University. Siya ay nakapagtapos ang kursong BSL Filipino sa taong 2010 at ng kanyang Master of Arts in Panitikang Filipino sa taong 2013 at natamo ang titulong Doctor of Arts in Literature and Communication nitong taon. Kasalukuyan siyang nagtuturo sa Science and Technology Education Center sa lungsod ng Lapu-Lapu. Ang kanyang interes sa mga aralin may kinalaman sa kultura, panitikan at psikolohiyang Filipino ang nagtulak sa kanya upang bigyang diin sa pag-aaral ng panitikan ng Pilipinas. At si Dr. Trina Catipay ay produkto din ng Cebu Normal University. Siya ay nakapagtapos ng Bachelor of Arts in Filipino sa taong 2011, Master of Arts in Panitikang Filipino sa taong 2013, at natamo ang degree Doctor of Arts in Literature and Communication sa taong 2017. Kasalukuyang nagtuturo sa Cebu Normal University sa Kolehiyo ng Sining at Tagahang. Ang kanyang hilig ay ang pagtuklas ng mga bagong pag-aaral ng panitikan at kultura ng Pilipinas, lalong-lalo na ang mga kwentong bayan at alamat ng Cebu. Inaanyayahan namin si Professor Desiree Balota, Dr. Catipay, at Dr. Quilantang na pumarito sa entablado para simulan natin ang usapang Jose Corazon kasama si Dr. Merlin Stan. Let us all give them a round of applause.
Hello. Hi! Magandang umaga sa ating lahat. No? Kanina lamang ay nai-introduce na sa atin kung sino ang ating pag-uusapan ngayong umaga. So, maraming salamat kay Professor Desiree Balota, kay Dr. Trina Catipay, at kay Dr. Dominic Quilantang sa inyong pagbayad, no, at pagtanggap sa aming paanyaya para kayo ay maging speakers namin ngayon tungkol kay Jose Corazon. So, para umpisahan ang ating pag-uusap tungkol kay Jose Corazon, gusto ko sanang itanong, sino nga ba si Jose Corazon de Jesus? Maaari ko bang marinig si Professor Balota?
Si Jose Corazon de Jesus ay nakikilala dahil sa kanyang pagsulat ng mga liriko ng bayan ko, at saka siya rin ay ang hari ng balagtasan, at siya rin ay nakikilala bilang makata ng puso dahil sa mga tulat ng pag-ibig na sinusulat niya. At si Jose Corazon de Jesus din ay nagsusulat ng mga tula na nagsusulong sa ating mithiin na lumaya. Siya ay nagsulat noong American occupation, at saka sa kanyang mga tula, bukod sa siguro nakikilala ng mga tula na ang pag-ibig ay tumatalakay din siya ng mga isyu ng lipunan gaya ng plight ng mga manggagawa at saka kahalagahan ng mga manggagawa, at saka rin ating naisin na tayo ay maging malaya.
Thank you, Professor Balota. May idadagdag ka po ba?
Kung ating bibigyan ng pansin, ay kinakailangan muna nating tingnan na kung buwan ng Abril muna ha. Kung buwan ng Abril, ito ay tungkol sa buwan ng panitikan. At since si Jose Corazon ay isa sa mga makakang Pilipino na sumikat sa kanyang kapanahunan, kinakailangan din natin titingnan na ang panitikan pala ay hindi lang mga istorya na kinagiliwan natin. Ngunit ito yung mga istorya na mayroong dalang aral, at ito ay refleksyon ng ating pagkatao bilang isang Pilipino. Na kung ating bibigyan ng pansin ang ating makaka na si Jose Corazon or si Jose Corazon de Jesus, siya ay isang tao na normal na tao lamang, ngunit mayroon siyang kanyang kinahiligan at palagi niya sinusunod kung ano ang kanyang nasa puso niya. Siya ay isang tao na ipinanganak sa, iginugol niya ang kanyang kabataan sa in-between the war or in-between sa labanan ng mga Pilipino na naghihimagsik sa okupasyon ng mga Amerikano. Ngunit ang pinaka-intriguing kasi dito is that ang kanyang ama na si Vicente de Jesus ay ang panguna o ang pinakaunang director ng health department sa panahon ng okupasyon ng Amerikano. Kung makikita natin dito, si Corazon de Jesus na anak ng isang health director sa panahon ng occupation ng mga Americans, siya yung isang anak na hindi sumusunod sa kung ano ang itinibigay ng pamahalaan sa kanya, sapagkat sinusunod niya kung ano ang nasa puso niya. Kaya nga, na de Jesus ay pinalitan niya ang kanyang siseryo na Corazon na kung saan sa Espanyol ay nangangahulugang puso. Dahil para sa kanya, ang pagsunod niya palagi sa kanyang puso ang kanyang inuuna at hindi sa kung ano ang sinasabi ng kanyang nakapaligid sa kanya.
Maaari mo ba natin masabi na sa ginawang ito ni Jose Corazon de Jesus ba ay parte ng revolusyon niya sa kanyang, para sa ating bayan?
Para sa akin ay hindi lamang ito revolusyon, ngunit ito yung hindi ang pagpapakita niya ng pagmamahal niya sa kanyang bayan. Dahil si Corazon de Jesus ay hindi lamang siya kanya bilang tagapagsulat ng mga tula, ngunit tanyag siya sa pagsusulat sa kung ano ang realidad na nakikita niya sa kanyang kapaligiran. Okay? So, makikita siguro niya na ito ang nangyayari. Ngunit ang aking ama ay isa sa mga government officials ng Americans. At ito yung reality na kinakailangan malaman ng mga tao.
Okay, so kino-contradict niya yung father niya para sa kanyang gusto. Okay. May maidadagdag po ba tayo, Dr. Quilantang?
Siguro, galing nga siya sa isang well-off na family. At nakapagtapos siya ng siya. Pero hindi niya ito ginamit sapagkat mas binigyan niya ng diin ang kanyang interes sa pagsulat ng mga tula. From the beginning talaga, yung hilig niya, yung interest na, sinabi nga sa natin kanina ni Dr. Tan, at the age of 17, nagsimula na siyang mailathala ang kanyang mga tula. At ang pamagat nito, kung natatandaan ko, ay pangungulila. Pero, nakapagsulat siya ng tula sa maiksing panahon lamang sapagkat maaga din siyang nabawian ng buhay. At the age of 35, he died because of a complication dahil na nagka-ulcer siya. At sa maiksing panahon na yun, nakapagsulat siya ng higit sa 4,000 tula. So, ganun ka-productive na poet si Jose Corazon de Jesus sa kanyang panahon. Hindi lang siya nagsusulat gamit yung sagisag panulat na Jose Balota. Kasi occasionally, nagsusulat din siya using different pen names or pseudonyms like Paru-Paru Buksa, Manuel Vertibet, and Water Lily. Marami siyang mga naisulat at marami siyang naging kontribusyon sa panahon na yun. Tama din yung sinabi kanina ni Ma'am na maaari isang pag-aalsa ang ginawa ni Jose Corazon de Jesus, knowing the fact na kanyang ama yung kauna-unahang direktor ng kawanihan ng sanitasyon sa panahon ngayon. Kasi mas binigyan niya ng diin yung paano ang mga pag-aalsa niya ito ay mailahad sa mabulaklaking pamamaraan sa pagsulat ng kanyang mga tula.
Okay, napag-uusapan naman natin yung buhay ni Jose Corazon de Jesus. Gusto ko lang pong itanong, na-practice niya po ba ang pagiging abogado niya?
Hindi, kasi nga naging abala siya sa kanyang pang-araw-araw na column sa Taliba that time. So hindi siya nabigyan ng pagkakataon na masanay o mainsayo ang kanyang legal na profesyon kasi palagi siyang nagsusulat.
Gusto ko lang po itanong, paano niyo po ba ipinapakilala si Jose Corazon de Jesus sa inyong mga mag-aaral?
Sa akin, hindi maiwawakli na pag sinabi natin panulaan for the Spanish period, yung bato na tinitingnan natin dyan for Filipino poetry, si Francisco Balagtas. Sa panahon ng Amerikano, Jose Corazon de Jesus. Sa pananalita ni Virgilio Almario sa kanyang pagsusuri, pinamagatang ang romantikong imahinasyon ni Jose Corazon de Jesus, ang ningning ng kanyang pagiging makata during that time ay hindi tutumbas sa kutita na pinapakita lamang ng mga nakasabay niyang manunulat o makata sa panahon yun. At dinagdag din ito sa paghahambing na ginawa ni Inigo Edregalado, which is opposite sa tinatawag natin na grupo ng panitikan sa panahon ng Amerikano, kung saan kabilang siya sa Aklatang Bayan. Siya kasi yung gumawa ng forward ng unang antolohiya ni Jose Corazon de Jesus. At sinabi niya dito na yung sining ng paggamit ng mga salita ay hindi nalalayo sa sining ng paggamit ng pananalita ni Francisco Balagtas na kung saan ito yung kinagiliwan ng mga tao sa panahon niya.
Okay, ikaw naman, Professor Desiree Balota. Paano po ba ninyo ipinapakilala si Jose Corazon de Jesus?
Sa klase ko, hindi masyadong mahaba yung nabibigay ko na panahon kay Jose Corazon de Jesus kasi nga mas yung English yung tinuturo ko. Pero na-mention ko si Jose Corazon de Jesus bilang isang prolific na manunulat at saka mas na tumutuon ako sa kanyang dedikasyon, sa kanyang puso, sa paglilinang ng kanyang kakayahan at sa pagpapublish, pagpapalathala ng kanyang mga tula. At saka, kasi na-mention ko siya kung yung sa form, yung susulat ng form, sa literary criticism at saka creative writing. Kasi si Jose Corazon de Jesus, kung babasahin yung mga tulad pagbasa namin, simple yung kanyang mga panalita at saka napakalutong at napakalinaw ng mga imahe. Tapos, yung pinaka-gusto ko yung precision at musicality ng rhythm ng kanyang mga tula. At saka, ang kanyang focus at consistency sa kanyang sa wika, sa paggamit ng wika. Yun yung gusto kong bigyan ng focus or highlight kasi pagsulat ay kailangan ng dedikasyon at commitment sa pagbigay ng panahon gaya na nailhan kanina na kahit 35 taon lang siya nung siya ay pumanaw, higit sa 4,000 pula na yung nasulat niya. So, it's more of yung kanyang, yung form ng kanyang sinusulat at saka yung kanyang dedikasyon sa pagsusulat.
Okay. Thank you po, Professor Balota. Ikaw naman, Dr. Trina, bilang isang guro sa kolehiyo ng Filipino, paano mo ba ipinapakilala or itinatalakay si Jose Corazon de Jesus?
Sa amin kasi, nagtuturo ako ng obra maestra ng mga makatang manunulat or mga makata sa panahon ng Kastila at Amerikano. Hindi na iwawaglit sa ating mga pag-aaral ang iba't ibang mga makata na talagang mayroon silang malaking impluwensya o impact sa mga tao sa kanilang panahon. Kung ating bibigyan kasi ng pansin, ang pagtuturo ko kay Jose Corazon de Jesus sa aking mga estudyantes, hindi ko siya itinuturo bilang makata lamang. Ngunit itinuturo ko siya bilang isang tao rin. Dahil nagsisimula tayo, kung titingnan natin kasi, is si Jose Corazon de Jesus ay nagsimula bilang isang simpleng tao. Ngunit sa pagiging isang simpleng tao is hindi inaasahan na malaki ang kanyang naging impact at ambag sa mga tao sa kanyang kapanahunan. Dahil kung ating bibigyan ng pansin, ang kanyang kapanahunan na kanyang kasikatan ay nasa panahon ng Amerikano kung saan itinuturo nila ang maraming pamamaraan o mga bagong pamamaraan na nagpanitikan. Halimbawa na lamang dito ang free verse, itinuturo na nila ang mga panibago. Ngunit si Jose Corazon de Jesus kasi is a mixture of both, na kung saan ang kanyang mga panulat ay mixture of parang Kastila at ang mixture ng Amerikano. Kaya nga, nabuo ang tinatawag nating balagtasan at tinawag siya na hari ng balagtasan sapagkat ang kanyang initiative na pulungin ang mga ibang pang mga makata para magkaroon ng or i-celebrate ang birthday ni Francisco Balagtas sa April 2, ang siyang nagbunsod na magkaroon ng balagtasan. Dahil nagsimula lamang ito sa isang simpleng pagbuhay ng isang duplo, kung saan isang old literature na Pilipinas, kung saan ito ay usually isang laro na parang paligsahan siya ng paglalabanan na kinakailangan maganda ang iyong pagsasalita, ang paggamit ng mga salita. Ang maganda dito is that ang duplo ay ginawa nila ng modifikasyon, kung saan na ipapakita dito ang impluwensya ng Amerikano. Dahil ang Amerikano kasi na impluwensya nila sa kanilang pagtuturo is go out sa conventional. Kaya nga ipinakilala nila ang mga free verse at marami pang iba. At dahil dito nagsimula ang tinatawag nating balagtasan. Dahil si Jose Corazon de Jesus is a mixture of both the tradition and the new.
Tsaka, siguro kailangan natin i-point out no, na ang balagtasan, hindi hari ng balagtasan si Francisco Balagtas or Baltazar. Kasi siya yung dahilan kung bakit may balagtasan. Si Jose Corazon de Jesus ang hari ng balagtasan kasi parang ino-offer niya lahat ng balagtasan ng performance niya. Kasi kung siguro kung i-share natin kung sino talaga si Jose Corazon de Jesus, hindi lamang siya isang makata, kundi isa din siyang performer. Kasi di ba si Jose Corazon de Jesus, pina-perform din niya yung mga tula na isinulat niya. Di ba? So, sa performance na ito, dito nag-umpisa yung balagtasan. So, kaya siya yung tinawag na hari ng balagtasan. Okay. Bilang napag-uusapan natin si Jose Corazon de Jesus bilang isang makata at bilang isang performer, meron bang isa katha si Jose Corazon de Jesus na nag-iwan sa inyo ng kapintalan? Or naisuri ninyo noon sa inyong klase? Yes. Okay, si Dr. Quilantang.
As a high school teacher, ba't sa aming aklat ang kanyang tulang pamana at punong kahoy. So hindi may iwasan na kami mismo, gumagawa kami ng sarili namin pagsusuri tungkol dito. Yung nagustuhan ko lang sa padron ng pagsusulat ni Jose Corazon de Jesus, yung pantologikal na pagbasa mo nito, na hindi talaga maiwaw at iaalis na yung koneksyon ng tao sa iba pang malikha ng Diyos dito sa mundo. Mapapansin natin yan sa kanyang mga tula. Punong kahoy, yung agaw dilim, na kung saan kakikitaan natin na tamang tawagin niya siya isang makata ng puso, o makata ng pag-ibig dahil nga ang kanyang mga tula ay puno ng idealismo tungkol sa kalikasan, tungkol sa kalikasan, either internal or external, sa malawak na kahulugan ng kalikasan. Individualismo, ibig sabihin mas namamayani ang sentimentalismo kaysa sa didaktisismo ng kanyang mga isinusulat. So yun siguro punong kahoy ang talagang nag-iwan sa akin ng kakintalan. Kasi yung pagkakaalam ko, bago ako nagtuturo tungkol kay Jose Corazon de Jesus, binabasa lang yung tula. Akala ko matanda na siya namatay nang may sulat na ito. Na papatapos na yung kanyang buhay. Tapos na lahat. Nakita na niya yung kanyang simpi at natapos na. Pero hindi pala. Nasa tanghali pa siya ng kanyang buhay. Nang bawian siya ng buhay. So parang kung meron kang ganitong klase ng pag-iisip, meron kang ganitong pagsamo sa kamatayan, mapapansin natin na ito yung klase ng tao na may malalim na pag-unawa sa kung ano ang ugnayan niya sa iba pang likha ng ating Panginoon. Yun lang.
Ikaw naman, Dr. Trina, ano ba ang, alin sa mga tula niya ang nag-iwan sa'yo ng kakintalan?
Para sa akin, yung tula niya na ang pangungulila at ang buhay ng tao. Ang pangungulila ay nasulat niya nung siya ay 17 taong gulang pa lamang. Ito ang pinakaunang tula niya kung saan, dahil nga siya, mas na-intriga kasi ako sa tulang yun sapagkat nang mabasa ko ang tulang yun ay nakita ko ang kanyang pangungulila sa isang pagmamahal. Ewan ko kung broken-hearted ba siya sa mga panahon yun dahil nararamdaman ko ang kanyang sakit ng mga panahon yun na nasa mga madilim, naglagla at parang galing siya sa isang kadiliman kung saan nangungulila siya sa isang pagmamahal ng isang tao. At on the other side is, mas nagustuhan ko rin yun na yung tula niya na ang buhay ng tao. Sapagkat ito ay tumutukoy sa buhay ng isang tao na parang isang bilog. Kung saan tayo ay tayo ay nasa itaas, ngunit darating ang panahon na tayo ay pupunta sa ibaba. Na kung saan sinimulan niya ang kanyang tula sa paglalarawan na tayo ay pumupunta sa ating sariling kagubatan. Ang ating sariling kagubatan ay masyadong masukal. Masyado siyang masukal na hindi natin alam kung ano ang ating dinadaanan at hindi natin patutunguhan. May mga tao talaga na darating sa ating buhay to guide us para mapuntahan natin ang ating parunungan. Ngunit kapag pupunta tayo sa ating parunungan at kapag uupo tayo sa ating uupuan, ay hindi natin malalaman na nandun pala ang mga ahas na handa tayong tuklawin kahit kailan. At dito na pinapakita ni Jose Corazon de Jesus na kahit kailan ay hindi mawawala ang realidad ng kataksilan. Na may mga tao talaga na darating sa ating buhay na sa tingin natin, sila yung mga tao masasandalan natin. Ngunit, they're just watching us sa ating mga kung kailan tayo magiging weak. At on the other hand, ay ipinapakita din niya sa kanyang tula na ang buhay ng tao na kung ikaw ay mabuti, ay kinaiingitin ka. Kung ikaw naman ay masama, ay kinasusuklaman ka. Ipinapakita dito na hindi mo talaga kayang hindi sa mga tao. Dahil kung ano man ang iyong ipapakita, they can always have something to say sa kung ano man ang iyong gagawin. At the end, sinasabi niya na ang buhay ng tao ay parang bilog, kung saan maaari ikaw ay nasa taas, maaari ka nasa ibaba. Ngunit at the end of it, nandun pa rin ang tema ng kanyang kamatayan. Lahat ng tao ay hahantong sa tinatawag nating kamatayan. Siya nga ay isang tao na siya nga ay binagsagan na makata ng mga puso, ngunit hindi na iwawaglit na ang puso ay mayroong kaakibat nito ng kamatayan o kasakitan.
Okay. Maganda yung mga tula niya, di ba? Pangulila, yung buhay, ang buhay, ang pamana, at yung pinakasikat niya na bayad ko. Ikaw naman, Professor Balota, alin sa mga ito
Ang pinakagusto ko na sa mga tula na nabasa ko ay bayan ko, manggagawa sa kapakpak. Kasi yung preference ko ay yung mga tula na tumutukoy talaga sa mga issue ng lipunan. Tapos gusto ko yung bayan ko at sa kapakpak dahil itong bayan ko at sa kapakpak ay nagbibigay ng nag-focus sa need natin, sa kailangan natin na makamit na independence kasi kailangan natin na ma-realize para sa ating mga sarili na kaya natin tumayo, na kung bibigyan natin ng pakpak yung ating mga gusto, yung ating mga mithiin at saka layunin, ay kaya natin na umunlad. At yun yung talagang nabibigay ng focus sa kahalagahan ng opportunity at saka sa kahalagahan ng pag-create ng opportunity. At saka yung manggagawa rin ay gusto ko yung manggagawa kasi isa itong tula na nagbibigay ng parangal sa mga tao na kadalasan ay hindi nabibigyan ng parangal, hindi nabibigyan ng recognition dahil behind the scenes lang naman sila or maliliit yung mga gano'n na parang view sa mga tao ito. Dahil ang manggagawa ay nagbibigay ng parangal sa mga hindi napapansin, ang pagbibigay ng pagdadakilan ito ang siyang kailangan natin upang hindi lang yung mga titulado ang mabigyan ng pansin.
Okay. So, ibig sabihin po ba, Professor Balota, na hindi lahat ng tula ni Jose Corazon de Jesus ay nakapokus sa pag-ibig lamang?
Opo, meron siyang mga tula na hindi romantiko. At dahil sa preference ko naman, kasi maganda nakakabigay ng hindi at saka meron yung iba nga na ito yung version ng mood what no? Pero sa kanyang pagbibigay ng pagkakalakay ng mga issue na napanlipunan, makikita rin yung kabuuan ng ating buhay. Kasi kahit gano'n romantiko yung tao, gusto niya na magtalakay ng romantikong relasyon, merong bahagi sa kanya na hindi lang yun yung focus niya. Meron din siyang mga pangarap, meron din siyang gusto para sa kanyang bansa, para sa kanyang pamilya. So, yun yung ini-imagine ko nga kung sana mabasa ko yung 4,000 na mga poems niya, no? Ano pa kaya yung kanyang mga tinalakay? Yun yung sana nais ko na kahit hindi man 4,000 siguro, kahit 1,000 man lang yung gano'n.
So, kasi di ba, ang dami niya naisulat na tula, pero kung sa mga hindi nakakaalam, meron din siya mga columns na isulat. It's actually 800 plus na mga columns. So, maliban sa 4,000 na tula na siguro gusto natin basahin, meron pong mga columns na idadagdag natin sa listahan na kailangan natin basahin para mas makilala natin si Jose Corazon de Jesus. So sa napag-uusapan natin, nakikilala natin si Jose Corazon de Jesus bilang isang magaling na makata at magaling na manunulat. So, ang tanong ko po sa inyong tatlo, paano po ba siya nagsimula bilang isang makata? Tinanggap ba siya? Naging maganda ba ang pagtanggap sa kanya nung kanyang kabataan? Lalong-lalo na nung inilathala niya ang kanyang unang tula na pinamagatang pangungulila. Yes?
Siguro lang, naging issue din sa panahon niya yung commodification. Kasi nga, araw-araw siya nagsusulat sa araw-araw na pamahayagan. Naging usapin ito dahil tama bang tawagin natin siyang isang romantikong makata? When we say romantic, yung naging batayan niya sa kanyang pagsulat ng mga lyrical ballads niya, yung pamantayan ng pagsulat ni William Wordsworth. Okay? So, tinitignan din ito kung sa kanyang panahon, hindi ba ito isang usapin na may kinalaman sa commodification. At isa pa, katulad ng nasabi ko kanina, na ihambing siya ni Inigo Regalado kay Francisco Balagtas. Tinignan din kung makakapantay ba yung paggamit niya ng wika sa pag-ambag niya sa wika, sa mabulag-langit salita na ginamit niya sa kanyang mga tula. Yun lang siguro. Kasi kabilang si Jose Corazon de Jesus sa kilusan na tinatawag na ilaw at panitig, kasama si Florentino Collientes, yung pumapangalawa sa kanya sa Balagtasan, at si Leo Gracias Rosario, which is my personal idol sa pagsulat ng maikling kwento. He is known to be the father of Filipino short stories. Ating sagot kay Edgar Allan Poe, kumbaga. Okay? So, yung uri ng mga tula, maikling kwento, o panitikan na ginagawa ng ilaw at panitig ay hindi mo makikita sa grupo kung saan kinabibilangan nila ni Inigo Regalado, Lope K. Santos, na Latag Bayan, sapagkat ito'y puno ng inobasyon. Kung kaya nga, sa akin, nung lumabas sa akin ng personal na tanong sa sarili ko noon, nung lumabas si Alejandro G. Abadilla na nagbigay ng isang panibagong mukha sa panulaan, which is postmodernist yung estilo, ano kaya yung naging tugon ni Jose Corazon de Jesus dito? Yun lang siguro yung mga napuna ko na mula sa aking mga nabasa din tungkol sa naging pagtanggap ng kanyang mga katoto sa panahon.
Dr. Trina?
Para sa akin, sa pagbabasa ko, nakita ko doon na sa kanyang kabataan, di ba ang pinakauna niyang tula, yung pangungulila, hindi masyadong na-publish or na-establish yung pangungulila sapagkat ang panahon yun is masyado ang censorship ng mga panahon yun sapagkat ang implementation ng English na language ay talagang pinapa-implement ng mga Americans before. At sa kanyang kapanahunan, nagsusulat siya sa Tagalog. So dahil dito is, maraming mga critics na nagsasabi na bakit ba nagsusulat ko siya sa mga columns na ito? Dahil, take this for example, the Taliba. Ilang taon siya nagsusulat sa Taliba, ngunit nagkakaroon siya ng paghihirap na ma-establish ang kanyang sariling pangalan doon mismo sa pahalagan na Taliba sapagkat hindi masyadong tinatanggap ito dahil sa tinatawag nating censorship. So, marami ang so para sa akin is, bilang isang tao is, bilang isang makata is, may marami siyang struggles para ma-establish hindi lamang ang kanyang pangalan, ngunit upang maipahayag niya ang kanyang hangarin bilang isang makata para sa mga Pilipino is, dito is, nagkaroon din siya ng kahirapan upang ilahad kung ano ang kanyang nasa puso. Dahil nga, grabe ang censorship sa mga panahon yun. I think yun yung mas nabigyan ko ng focus sa kanyang kahirapan ko.
Okay, so ibig sabihin, nung kabataan ni Jose Corazon de Jesus, medyo hindi siya tinanggap bilang isang makata. Okay? Kasi nabasa ko rin sa isang article na noong una, nung kabataan ni Jose Corazon, nung nagsisimula pa lang siya bilang isang makata, hindi masyadong nakita yung kagalingan niya bilang isang makata dahil sa ginamit niyang estilo. Okay? Pero, ito yung, parang na-translate siya nung first na book na pinublish niya. Parang hindi siya magaling doon. Pero, sa second na publication niya, parang sinabi ng mga nag-criticize sa kanya na magaling talaga si Jose Corazon de Jesus. Maaari po ba natin siya, ito last question ko na ito para sa pagtatalakay natin. Maaari po ba natin siyang ihambing sa mga kabataan ngayon na nagsisimulang maging makata? Or nagsisimula bilang mga, parang they're starting their career as a poet, no, as a performer sa poetry. Yes,
para sa akin, merong Jose Corazon de Jesus sa bawat nagnanais na sumulat ng tula at mag-perform ng tula. Kasi nga, nung nagsimula nga si Jose Corazon de Jesus, ay meron siyang mga kritiko, meron siyang mga struggles, at saka sa rin ay nakamit din niya yung improvement at saka yung affirmation ng mga kritiko. So, sa stages ng nagsusulat ng tula o ng creative work ay dumaraan din sila nun. So, siguro, para sa akin, lahat ng susulat ay makaka-relate sa akin yung sa aspekto na yun. Tapos, dahil siya ay performer at dahil nakilala din siya sa kagalingan na balagtasan, yung mga into spoken word poetry ngayon, makaka-relate din dahil sila ay nag-perform. At saka, sa ngayon, meron tayong version ng pakipagtugalian or verbal shouts, which is flip-top. So, yun yung version din na merong contest na kung sino ang mas magaling, sino ang mas witty, sino ang mas mabilis na mag-isip. Yun. So, yung kanyang rivalry, kay Quilantang at saka kay Jesus, at saka ngayon, meron din mga sinasabi na hari ng flip-top o gano'n. So, meron din counterpart na sa kasalukuyan ng mga performers sa mga na-experience ni Jose Corazon de Jesus sa kanyang kapanunod.
Yes, Dr.
Tulad na nabanggit ni Professor, para sa kabataan natin ngayon, patuloy na mag-aral. Kasi yung pagiging performer niya, hindi naman lang yun nakadepende sa talento niya. Inaral niya sa Italia yung kanyang pag-awit. Nag-drawing, nagdibugo din siya. Yung pagiging artista niya sa entablado ay inaral niya. Lahat ng yun ay pinagsikapan niya. Para sa mga kabataan natin ngayon, mahalaga na huwag lang kayong nakadepende sa talento ninyo. Patuloy na mag-aral, patuloy na pagsikapan na lalo pang masanay ang inyong mga sarili sa larangan gusto nyo pinigil. Hindi lang sa larangan ng pagtatanghal, sa pagsulat, kundi maging anumang sa palaran na gusto nyo subukan. Kami nga, na mga guro na ngayon, patuloy pa rin nagsasanay. Sinusubukan pa rin namin na, ako personally, sinusubukan ko pa rin na makapasok sa mga palihan, mga creative writing workshop. Kasi gusto ko pang matuto sa pagsulat. Yun din yung gusto ko sanang tingnan natin ng mga kabataan natin ngayon kapag tinatalakay natin sa Jose Corazon de Jesus, especially for high school teachers. Kasi present siya doon. Na hindi lang natin tingnan yung kanyang tula dahil maganda ang ritmo at indayong ng tugmaan, meron ang kanyang bawat talutod ng kanyang tula. Kundi titingnan din natin na ito ay bunga rin ng ilang taon na patuloy na paghahasa ng kanyang kasanayan.
Okay, yes, Dr. Trina.
Ang masasabi ko lang sa mga kabataan is, walang taong nagsisimula sa kadakilaan. Parang lahat ng tao ay nagsisimula sa pulpit. Kung saan, kung makikita natin sa Jose Corazon de Jesus kasi, hindi siya nagsisimula, or hindi siya nagsimula bilang isang makaka. Nagsimula siya bilang isang anak, isang simpleng tao, ngunit mayroon siyang tiwala sa kanyang sarili, mayroon siyang mithiin, mayroon siyang layunin, at ang mga talento, ang kanyang weakness ay ginawa niya lahat na strength niya. Ang lahat ng mga criticism criticism na kanyang natatanggap, ay ginawa niya itong kanyang kalakasan na siyang ginawa niya proof sa lahat ng mga tao kung ganito ang inyong pagkatingin sa akin, kung ganito ang inyong pagtingin sa akin, is masasanay or mayroon pa akong chance na ma-improve ito sa pamamagitan ng paghahasa ko mismo sa aking sarili. Kung titingnan din natin, si Jose Corazon de Jesus ay hindi isang nag-aral na siya ng arts, ng teatro, ng pagkanta, ngunit siya ay mayroong degree na law. It doesn't require you to be a major in literature for you to write. We all have, or para sa akin mayroon tayong nakatagong talento sa ating sarili. Kinakailangan lang nating alamin kung ano ang ating kalakasan at kinakailangan nating kilalanin pang mabuti ang ating sarili. Dahil the moment na mas makikilala mo ang iyong sarili, dito mo mas makikita kung saan ka malakas at kung saan ka mahina at ang kahinaan ito ay maaari mong mapaunlad, katulad ni Jose Corazon de Jesus.
Maraming salamat po sa inyong tatlo, sa inyong ibinahaging kaalaman tungkol kay Jose Corazon de Jesus. Isa siguro sa pinaka-mahalagang aral na nakuha ko mula sa pagtatalakay na ito na kung ikaw ay bata ba at gusto mong maging makata, nag-uumpisa ka pa lang, marami talagang mag-criticize sa'yo na hindi ka magaling, na hindi kaya siya gano'n, kaya siya ganito. Maraming critics pa na pagsasabi na hindi ka magaling. Pero yun ay dahil bata ka pa. Marami ka pa maaaring matutunan, maaari mo pang linangin ang iyong kaalaman at kakayahan bilang isang makata. So siguro, para sa mga kabataan dyan na nag-uumpisang magsulat ng kanilang mga tula, ng kanilang mga piyesa, huwag niyong isipin na dahil marami kayong kritiko, ay hindi na kayo magaling. Or siguro, huwag din lumaki yung ulo ninyo na hindi magaling talaga ako. Siguro dapat natin tingnan na maaaring may mali sa mga naisulat ko na kailangan kong linangin, ayusin at baguhin para mas maging magaling ako pagdating ng panahon. Kasi nga, hindi naman natin pwedeng sabihin na magaling tayo habang bata pa tayo. Ang kagalingan natin, nalilinan natin yan habang tumatanda na tayo. So siguro sa ngayon, tanggapin natin na bata pa tayo sa larangan ng pagsulat. At sa pagdating ng panahon, magiging magaling tayong manunulat. Tulad ng mga iniidulo nating mga makata o manunulat. Tulad nga ni Jose Corazon de Jesus. So again, maraming salamat po Dr. Quilantang, Dr. Catipay at Professor Balota sa inyong pagbibigay ng oras at panahon para sa ating talakayan. Siguro meron mga katanungan ng ating audience? Meron ba? Tungkol kay Jose Corazon de Jesus? Wala? May questions po ba? Sa mga makata, sa mga hugetero at hugutera? Yes, sir.
I'm sorry I was late. The program didn't start in time. I don't know who they are talking about. I presume from your discussion that he was a Paul. Professor Balota said he was influenced, so probably I will think he was born or he was already alive during the turn of the century because he was influenced by Tagalog, Spanish, then because he is Tagalog, no? And he was already influenced with the coming American period with the English language. So I presume that he was always writing in Filipino. Did he write Spanish and English also? Pardon, in my high school day, hindi namin nakuha ito. Wala kaming linggo ng wika noon. Thank you.
Sa mga nabasa ko pong tula ni Jose Corazon de Jesus, most na aking nabasa ay in Filipino, pero meron ding in English na nabasa ko po. So yun, sa experience ko rin po, natalakay sa eskwela, yung tinatalakay sa eskwela ay yung mga tula na sinulat niya sa Filipino po.
Opo, parang katulad ng sinabi kanina, ito yung pamamaraan niya bilang pag-aalsa sa panahon ng mga Amerikano at the time, na he is using the language Filipino instead of English. Kasi kahit na Ilocano siya, nakapag-aral siya, but it doesn't require na Filipino ang ginagamit, hindi na Ilocano. Yun yung ginamit niya. Katulad din ng Ilongga writer, if I'm not mistaken, Magdalena Halandonic. Then we have here Marcel Navarra from Karkar also, na yung balik paraan ng pag-aalsa nila during this time, yung ginamit nilang wika, yung wikang nakasanayan nila, well, for Corazon de Jesus, yung Tagalog sa kanya, kasi doon siya sa Luzon natin.
Wala na bang ibang katanungan mula sa ating audience? I guess wala na. So again, maraming at bago po kayo bumalik sa inyong upuan, can we stay on stage for a short tour. Sebwano and other Tagalog writers of this time were inspired by an older poet, Francisco Balagtas, whom Balagtasan was named after. Now, we will witness how Balagtasan was able to survive, how Balagtasan lived through generations, with a performance by poet and rap artist J.P. Arias of a Balagtasan titled Ang Kartero. Let us welcome J.P. Arias with a round of applause.
Ang Kartero. Si Benito, sa pulong mawalan ng amang hirang ay nasok na magkartero sa loob ng kabayanan. Ang kartero, alamin yung mahirap na hanap buhay, nasa daan oras-oras, nasa init araw-araw. Isang sako yaong dalang ang laman ay pawang liham. Bawat pintong mayroong sulat ay may sulat na iiwan. Sa tungkul'y tumutupad, may konti mang karamdaman. Ulanin man at arawi ay patungong palaging naglilibot sa lansangan. Ang kartero ay maghirap at masela na gawain. Sa sumalak di sumalay pupulaas sisihin. Isang tao'y araw-araw ay gumaganap sa tungkulin. Sa kamunting pagkukulang ay para pang gakitin. Kailangan masipag ka, matyaga at matiisin, upang tukding buong puso ang tungkuling nagbibiling. Sulat nila'y adalhin mo, ang kanila'y iyong kunin. Bukas na may ibigay mo ang tugon ng bawat lihim. Ang dalagay nag-aantay ang pagdating ng kartero. Sa kartero nag-aantay ang kawawang bagong tao. Madalas na sa bintana ay dinudunga mo kung sino ang tao po, kung pinto at baka kartero na ito. Kung sa iyong pagbabantay ay di magdaan sa inyo, halos maitanong, Mama, may sulat ba ako? Kapag ikay sinagot ng wala po at sa malayo tumutungo, sa loob mo'y may hinalang, baka nakalimot na sa iyo. At sa bayan si Benito ay kilalang kilala na. Binata man, may binatang kaibigan at kasama, may dalagang kabatiay, mga matandang may kakilala at lahat ng halos doon ay sa kanya umaasa. Ang kartero, bukas lamang ang umagay abangan mo sa bintana at pagdaraang walang sala. Dadalahan ka ng kalatas ng ligaya. O bukas din, kung sa wika'y may liham kang damay pusa.
Maraming salamat, J.P. Arias, for their great performance. Indeed, Balagtasan is not dead the top rap battles, and we can see that Balagtasan is being continued by younger poets and younger artists like J.P. Arias. So again, another round of applause for J.P. Arias. And now we have with us another young poet who will interpret the poems of Jose Corazon de Jesus for the Sebwano. Let's hear it from Hazel Ann Cesa, a literature major from the University of St. Carlos.
Isang punong kahoy ni Jose Corazon de Jesus. Kung tatanawin ko sa malayong pook, ako'y tila isang nakadipang krus. Sa napakatagal na pagkakaluhod, parang hinahagkan ang paa ng Diyos. organo sa loob ng simbahan ay nananalangin sa kapighatian habang ang kandila ng sariling buhay magdamag na tanod sa aking libingan. Sa aking paanan ay may isang batis, maghapon magdamag na tumatalis. Sa mga sanga ko ay nakasabit ang mga putad ng mga ibon ng pag-ibig. Sa kinikislap-kislap ng batis na iyan, asa muli na yung agos ng luhang lunukay at saka buwang tila nagdarasal. Ako'y binabati ng ngiting malamlam. Ang mga kampana sa tuwing orasyon nagpapahiwatig sa akin ng taghoy. Ibon sa aking mga sanga ay may tubing ng dahong bati sa aking paa ay may mga luha ng daloy. Ngunit tingnan niyo ang aking narating na tuyo na matay sa sariling aliw. Naging krus ako ng magsuyong laing at bantay sa hukay sa gitna ng dilim. Wala na. Ang gabi ay lambong na luksa. Panakip sa aking namumutlang mukha. Kahoy na nabuwan sa pagkakahiga. Ni ibon, ni tao ay hindi na matuwa. At iyong isipin ng nagdaang araw, isang kahoy akong malagong nag-ibay. Ngayon, ang sanga ko ay krus ng libingan. Dahon ko'y ginawang korona sa hukay. Once again, that is Isang Punong Kahoy by Jose Corazon de Jesus.
The power of the poems of Jose Corazon de Jesus or Jose Batute lies not just on its structure, its style and language, but also in its performative quality as what we saw earlier. So now, two young artists will be sharing their musical gifts with us, starting with Ali Evangelista, a literature major from the University of St. Carlos. Let's give Ali a round of applause, please.
So bad.
much, Ali. And that was Clyde Chan on the saxophone. And now, yes, Ali will give us another song.
It's the sad we live on, take it all, but you never get. Should've known you were struggling from the first kiss. Had your eyes wide open, why were they open? Give you all I had and we tossed it in the trash. We tossed it in the trash, yes we did. You give me all your love, it's all I ever ask. 'Cause what you don't understand is I'll catch a grenade for you. Throw my head on a flame for you. I'd jump in front of a train for you. You know I'd do anything for you. Oh, I would go through all this pain. Stick a bullet straight through my brain. Yes, I would die for you, baby, but you won't do the same. No, 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 no. Back in the me till I'm numb. Tell the devil I said, hey, when you get back to me. Mad, that's just what you are. Yeah, you smile in my face, but take it good side of them. Gave you all I had and tossed it in the trash. You tossed it in the trash, yes you did. But you gave me all your love, it's all I ever ask. What you don't understand is I catch a grenade for you. Throw my head on the flame for you. I jump in front of a train for you. You know I'd do anything for you. Oh, I would go through all this pain. Stick a bullet straight through my brain. Yes, I would die for you, baby, but you won't do the same. If my body was on fire, you'd watch me burn down in flames. You said you love me, you're a liar, but you never, ever, ever did, baby. Something I still catch a grenade for you. Throw my head on a plane for you. And jump in front of a train for you. You know I'd do anything for you. Oh, I would go through all this pain. Stick a bullet straight through my brain. Yes, I would die for you, baby, but you won't do the same. No, you won't do the same. You wouldn't do the same. You'll never do the same. No, 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 no.
Now for Ali's next song.
Once or twice, dug my way out of the fire. Bad decisions, that's alright. Welcome to my city life. stairs and I'm starting to feel the only thing I should be drinking is an ice cold beer. It's cool and loud, man, we do it all the time, but we try too hard. It's a waste of my time. Done looking for the critics, cause they're everywhere. They don't like my cheese, and it's being my hair. Strange is cool and we do it all the time. Why do we do that? Why do we do that? Why do we do that?
for the great performance.
Check. Oh, may good to. Kapaniyan to na magaling ang bansa. kamong saray-saray sa mall, palihog na, atin lang ito. Anyway, this piece is, I wrote this piece for a dedication to the farmers who come out and dig out root crops for their for joyful farming and a lot of things that you do. Kaning balaka naguluhan bulot og baliakan sa ilang sa butong gawain. Yatong adlang dako nga nagtutok kining init sa adlaw. Hinay-hinay kining nagpangupaw sa kasakit sa atong panig. Kuman, kining atong mga mag-uma, kanunay, musuong sa ilang sa butong gawayan, para lang makapagkupkop o mga lagot mo. Ning pagkatkat ko sa lubi, hinihinay dayon kong militli, dapit sa may butong gawayan. O hinihinay sa silang nagkupkop sa ilang mga kinugkop dito sa yuta nga. Kuno, binuhi kuno kini sa mga binuhi kuno kini sa mga dili ingon nato. Sige, saba. Sige, sangpit og maayo para lang sa kaimong nagkupkop, mo hinay-hinay og kagamay, mo hinay-hinay og kagamay, mo hinay-hinay og kawagtan. Pero naanad na kining mga katawhan. Dili kini sila mosaba, dili sa kini sila mosulti kung unsa ilang nakitaan. Ning pagkupkop mo sa palyakag ug pulot, hinay-hinay po kang misuong sa ilawom sa taginting sa ilawom sa butong gawayan. Andam na dayon tong mag-uma para mabundot sa iyang sundan. Di ba katong iyang lampas? Kay kuno ni kasa ning mga kagingking dito sa ilawom sa butong gawayan. Hinay-hinay sa tanaw, hinay-hinay sa mulili. Sus, abi pa man niya o hayupan o kunsa tong gikan sa kalibutan. Duha ra day kasampot, naglihok dito sa ilang sa butong gawayan. Salamat.
Daghang salamat, Clyde. Once again, this is Pingkian, a National Literature Month event organized by the USC Cebuano Study Center, co-sponsored by the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, Komisyon sa Wikang Filipino, and Robinson's Galleria, Cebu. So for the afternoon session, we will be joined by writers and artists from the Visayas and Mindanao for a series of talks and writing and other forms of artistic expressions. Other things that we have to look forward to this afternoon is the initial launch of Duhawi, a collection of poems by two beloved Cebuano poets, and a panel discussion on a timely and relevant topic on fake news. And after each talk, there will be an open forum wherein the audience will be given the chance to ask questions to the speaker. And we encourage everyone, we encourage you, especially the students here, to take part in the open forum. So, di na natin tugayon pa. Let's start with the first talk, which is on travel writing. The speaker for this talk recently launched her first collection of travel essays, What Distance Tells Us. She has traveled around the Philippines and abroad. She was a fellow of the 54th Siliman University National Writers Workshop, and a work of hers appears at Mindanao Odysseys, a collection of travel essays on Mindanao. Let's give a warm welcome to Ms. Johanna Michelle Lim.
Hello, magandang hapon. For those of you who are interested in travel writing, I do urge you to stay in front so that it's a more intimate setting. Thank you. And for those in the peripheries, there will be a couple more talks this afternoon, so we do urge you to also stay with us. This topic will be about travel writing. Of course, there will be subsequent topics later on. So, maayong hapon. My name is JondyArpilleda Lim. And again, the topic is about travel writing. Next slide, please. So, when I was growing up, I was fortunate enough to claim that I experienced the best of both worlds. I grew up in both the city and the province. My mother
came from a small town in Negros called Tanhay. It was very famous for their budbud, so if you can see from the slide, there's even a song about it, Budbud sa Tanhay, Lamig Kayud Kanunan. We spent 3 months out of the year. We spent our summer vacations there, and it was 3 months of very little adult supervision, where my cousins and I would steal sugarcane from the passing trucks on their way to Central de Bais. We had impromptu baths in irrigation pumps, and we harvested bangos sa puno. Next slide, please, Nance. So the provincial life taught me many things, the most important of which perhaps is that whether you like it or not, you are accountable to the neighbors around you. Their business is your business, and unfortunately sometimes your business is always theirs. And so it's no surprise perhaps that when I was in the province, I always craved to be anonymous. Next slide, please. And really, that's what I got from my life here in the city. Here in Cebu, where I went to school, worked, made friends, and continue to live today, it's really easy to get lost just from the sheer density of people. So Cebu is where I usually crave for attention, to not just disappear in the movement between Banilan and Santiago, between one meeting to another and one experience to another. And next slide, please. It's really that constant movement that taught me how easy it can be to let go. That everything you are and will be is transient, and so it makes very little sense to hold on to that. So in a nutshell, that's how my childhood was. It was a constant back and forth from these two worlds, to be seen and unseen, to be accountable, and also to easily let go. So when someone asks me whether I identify more as a Sebwano or a Negrense, or more accurately as a Provinciana or a city kid, I would always have a mini existential crisis, not only because of the labels, but also because it really digs into a deeper question, which is, where do I really belong? And the question balloons not just in terms of the sense of place, but really in terms of other aspects. Am I an artist, or am I a corporate person? Am I an advocate, or am I a mere observer? What I later realized is that there really is a new breed of individuals out there like myself who feel more comfortable in the in-between of things, to not just belong in one place, but rather to make the movement and the back and forth between the ideology of these places their home. So when someone asks me the question, am I a Cebuana or a Negrense, I will always jokingly tell them that I actually live in Tanod Strait, which is the body of water between Cebu and Negros. It's my own way of telling them that I belong to neither place. I belong to the in-between. The physical displacement of travel supports this sentiment. So I started traveling in my early 20s as soon as I could afford it. And it was only natural for someone who didn't feel like she belonged to one place to find the insatiable and oftentimes futile need to constantly go to other places. And as soon as I could support the practical side of it, which was of course cost, I kept on constantly traveling for the next 10 years after that. What really supported this in-between state of mind, though, was my love for writing. That, by the way, is a picture of one of my first trips in Sagada. So obviously, I didn't know how to pack. Underwear at the back, stuff in my bed. When I write, I am as unguarded and free to explore the great terrain in my own life without the fear of prejudice. So in writing, just as in the province, you are accountable to your readers, but just as in the city, you must also easily let go, knowing that at the end of the day, the work is really not yours anymore. So writing becomes and became my attempt to capture what is constantly moving, my thoughts and sentiments, my fears and aspirations, the nuances and complexities of your own making. And it is writing more than the physical displacement of travel that, to me, is really full of movement. That's a picture of me in somewhere in northeastern Samar in Biri. So, how does travel come into play when it comes to my writing? And how do my experiences ultimately benefit my travels as well? As a travel writer, travel and writing are two very separate components that need to synergetically come together. But first, I think we have to define what travel writing actually is. Are blogs, for examples of travel writing? Or what about travel guides? Are they part of travel writing? So to me, travel writing is writing that focuses on the inner journey of the writer set on an outer physical plane. So in a sense, it's no different from any other personal essay. It's just that with travel writing, the place is often elevated into a character. It's a character that works with the writer to reveal some form of insight, of transcendence or revelation while you're moving. So by that definition, not all works about travel are considered travel essays. They could just be guides, they could be blogs, but they might not be travel essays. So that, by the way, is in Lake Cebu, in South Cotabato. So back to the question, how does travel really complement my writing? To me, travel becomes a perfect excuse to get lost, along with all the advantages that getting lost actually brings. So when you're in a foreign setting, for instance, the experience illuminates a different side of you that you normally wouldn't reveal when you're in a domestic setting. I know, in my case, for instance, I'm braver, I take more risks when I'm displaced or when I'm estranged. And because all experiences you knew, it inadvertently brings a new skill set to the writer and to the traveler, which is, of course, you have the ability to use a more heightened, your more heightened senses. I love that picture. I took that picture in Chinatown in Singapore. It's a very busy place, but there's one guy that I was able to take a snapshot of, and he was so quiet in the corner, just reading. So it's a lot of those images that I try to find in my travels. If travel urges you to get lost, writing then is your map to try and attempt to be found. It is an act of the self finding the self. It is retracing your steps from one landmark to the other, from one experience to another, in order to land right where you're supposed to be in at the time that you're supposed to be in it. So much of this, of course, is about introspecting with structure. With writing, you're forced to put a body to what is normally ambiguous, like your thoughts, your feelings, etc. And if travel gives you the experience, it's actually writing that gives you the re-experience. And it's in the remembering where insight and introspection flourishes. Now, my belief is that every writer, in essence, is actually a traveler. Even if he is left in the confines of his own room, because he explores the terrain of his own mind, the past, the present, the future, and singles out a subject to write about, sifts through all the other information that other people deem unnecessary, and finally plucks out a gem from his memory that's critical to forming an insight and ultimately making the narrative his own. But not all travelers, though, are automatically writers. In my opinion, a lot of travelers should want to be writers or should try to document more. With the constant stimuli of travel, writing allows you to sift through your experiences in a more conscious way. So writing allows you to stop time. And it's a patient undertaking, quite unlike, let's say, it's unlike a photograph that in a way is more instant. Writing allows you to give it a slow burn. So it's a slower more measured way of going back to your experiences. So in my hope that more people attempt to document their travels and in a way travel more consciously and more mindfully. I have a couple of tips to share with you if you want to start documenting or if you want to attempt to go into travel writing. So number one, back to the last two slides. There you go. So tip number one, it would seem very obvious, but a travel writer should always be here. What I mean to say by that is that you should always be present for you to take all the stimuli that travel brings. A lot of the operatives nowadays is that you document first and then you experience later, but hopefully that gets reversed down the line, that hopefully a lot of people who travel actually experience first and then document later. So tip number two, you have to, of course, allow yourself to stray. This may seem quite a fatalistic endeavor, but stories often unfold when the universe wills them to. And oftentimes it's because of the readiness of the reader to actually tell the story. So yes, you can set out a plan, you can set out an itinerary, but also know that when plans don't go your way, then the people that you meet and the places that you are in are the places that you're supposed to be in the first place anyway. So number three, in the beginning of your trip, and when you have companions especially, categorize whether it's a trip or a vacation. So a trip is different in the sense that it thrives on discomfort, while a vacation, of course, thrives on comfort. The first picture, for instance, was my trip to Tawi-Tawi. It was a 3-hour ride in open water, no shade at all. So you can imagine the sunburn after. The second picture is, of course, a picture of me with my daughter in one of our vacations. I always try to give her a bit of discomfort, but since she's used to comfort, then of course I also try to adjust. So again, when you have a companion, be mindful enough to categorize it. Is it a trip for you or is it a vacation? So number four, of course, when you want to write, be very religious when you're in your note-taking. You should always make note-taking a religion. Many of the sensations in travel are immediate and easily lost. So when you can easily scribble on tissue, on notebooks, on scraps of paper. Try to take in the smell of incense or the sound of fish jumping out of the water, the look of the beggar bowls or the scars on the vendors, the tattoos on the arms of your companions. Write them all because it easily gets lost. When you take it back with you, you realize just how detached you are from the information, that all the information you actually accumulated will be so helpful in creating your narrative. So lastly, tip number 5, when you're a travel writer, you always have to remember that you're a writer first and a traveler second. What do I mean by this? A lot of us, because travel is a new benchmark of success, really get caught up in just the movement. So meaning you go from one place to another, take pictures, so on and so forth, but really fail to take in what inside the place has brought us. So travel can only give you the experience, but it is ultimately writing or even examining it in your own memory that allows you to find a semblance of home. So at least I did in the world of the written word. So finally, as a very overt plug, I'd like to plug my book, It's a collection of 12 essays from the north, south, east, and west of the Philippines. So it's a work that was that is a combination of 8 years worth of travel. So we hopefully tried to represent some stories from the north, some stories from the south, most of which are extreme islands or islands that are distant or difficult to go to. Some from the east and some from the west. So the books are available at the back as well as some of the other books from my fellow writers. So thank you very much for listening, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Johanna. Before anything else, we would want to ask the audience if you have questions for our speaker. If you have, you may approach the microphone at the center. Introduce your name. The first name will be enough, then give your question.
Hi, may hapon si JP Arias na po. And then, Miss, since different ang imong, or shall we say specific ang imong manner or genre ng pag-write, like traveler ka na writer. So, kasi kasagaran nimo na ma-encounter na mga struggles or yan, na yusan yung pag-overcome ng mga batang.
The first struggle is always economics because, of course, it's not my day job to travel. Most of the excursions that I went through are really part of my job. So, just to share with you, I'm involved in a lot of mission-based advocacies. So, that's why I also have the privilege to gain access to places that normally wouldn't be accessed by some people. Like, for example, Tawi-Tawi, for instance, we had to coordinate with the Marines to go to the southernmost island, which was Malamanok. So, gamay na lang kulang, 2 kilometers na lang, kung ato na mag-Malaysia. So, that part of the Philippines is normally inaccessible. So, I think I'm very blessed in a way that na synergize ang passion and profession. My passion has helped me gain more insight sa people that I meet in my profession. Most of the time, I like to dabble in topics that are also of top national concerns, such as, of course, poverty alleviation, the cultural appropriation, and there are also topics about ancestry and Filipino identity. So the struggle mostly there is how do you represent them the best way possible, because you don't want to fail your subjects as well. So muna, I think part to that, other than the logistics, is really how can you put into writing all the experiences that you were able to take in.
Second question, Miss, ang pagkatko nimo sa lugar kay intended for you to write, like adto ka in specific place kay para magsuwat ka to the place, or nakaadto ka and then you just write something about it, other way around?
Most of the time, the trips that I have are side trips. Dili jud siya the main reason why I go there. And I think in that sense, where life inserts itself first, and then you have the stimuli to write. Because if you try to be so conscious about writing, to me there are times you have a very conscious attempt to write, and yet the subjects don't reveal themselves. So I like the idea of life revealing itself to you in a very spontaneous and organic manner, and then it's up to you because my chosen platform or my chosen genre is creative nonfiction. So it's up to me now to curate and gain insight from all the experiences that I got. Unlike, let's say, with a short story na pwede ka ma-structured kayo, ikaw may naghimo mo kag-world. But in creative nonfiction, especially with travel essays, you have to let the experience, you have to respect your experience in the realm of what actually happened. And then you as a writer, now it's your duty to elevate it in such a way that it has revelation inside, transcendence.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is Roehl. How much culture of the place are you going to put in your writing? Like, because for example, I went to the Holy Land. And ang problema is, it is a trip, it is a vacation, or is it a pilgrimage? Most likely, I am on a pilgrimage because of the religious aspect, but different lang ang culture. Hindi yun ay man sila. And then, kung mag-pilgrimage sa ko, I have to replicate. The Lord is here. Buang sa apply pa ang picture, because based on the Bible, you have to picture where the place is. So ang ako lang, where does culture go into, or does culture be a part of your, usually a travel writer?
To me, culture plays one of the most important roles, especially because, like in my case, I was very conscious about trying to represent the Filipino, different aspects of the Filipino culture, because it's widely underrepresented, especially in terms of travel writing. But I don't mean to say that I'm an expert in the subject. I'm not a cultural mapper, and I think a lot of the people who travel are also not anthropologists or sociologists or cultural mappers, but they are widely interested in the subjects because they do want to experience the Filipino culture as it is today. A lot of us are not very conscious about taking in the present because it's there because it's there. But what I realize is the duty of the writer mainly is really to map the present because it easily gets lost. So the Cebu of today is not the Cebu of tomorrow. It's not the Cebu of 5 years from now. And so it should be hopefully a lot more will take the responsibility of documenting place, culture, people, the passion, the milieu of people of the present. And that's hopefully the trajectory of the work that I also want to do now and in the future. Thank you, sir.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Joanne Jessie. And I would like to ask, you mentioned a while ago that you have 12 essays in your book for 8 years of traveling. So my question is does the 12 essays represent one place for each? Like one essay for each place? And my second question is, every time you travel, do you have the pressure to really write something about the travel? Or
so first off, about the book, so it's a collection of 12 essays formed in the North, South, East, and West. These are carefully curated essays so that they hopefully represent the place. For example, sa North, I took in Batana, Sagada, Benguet, and Batana, Sagada, Benguet, and some other place. I'm sorry, I can't remember. But my attempt there was really to try to represent the underrepresented. As a Cebuana, because I live in the heartland of the Philippines, a lot of the places that to me feel so equidistant, and so that's why I became enamored with distance in particular. So if you notice how I created the stories in the book, it's really distant. So they're the most extreme places in North, extreme to South, East, and West. And it's really the idea that it's as far off from me as possible. So even in terms of the culture and the milieu of the people, kailangan it's as dissimilar, it's as unfamiliar to me as possible. Because again, when you travel, kung si Pico Ayer pa, when you travel to lose yourself, you also travel to find yourself. So hopefully you find different parts of yourself in the estrangement that you experience. Sorry, what was the other question?
Every time you travel, do you have the pressure to write or to have an output, an essay or something about the travel?
Okay. Well, I don't try to think of it as pressure. I try to think of it as a way to satiate as a way to try and alleviate my information overload. So to me, that's helpful because I'm so prone to information overload that when I don't write it down, even if it's just stream of consciousness, lines, scribbles, not all of them are insightful or helpful or will even be ballooned into a piece of work. But to me, it's just a comfort that there's something permanent from that trip that is so different from, let's say, a photo, which really just shows you, to me, a very curated part of the place. But when you write, you see all the nuances of the place, and Mona, it's more of a help to me than it is pressure. Thank you.
One last question before we proceed to the next talk. None? Right, Johanna Michelle Lim. Thank you very much, Ms. Johanna. From travel writing that explores insights and movements through geographical spaces, we move on to another kind of narrative that also involves space. And this time, it's the space of representation and assertion. To discuss gay writing, joining us this afternoon is the co-editor of the recently launched Libulan, Binisaya Anthology Queer of Literature, and a fiction writer in Sebwano himself, whose works appeared in Bisaya Magazine and Bukang Bibig PH. He was also a winner of the Labing Masaarong Bagong Magsusulat sa Bisaya 2016. He is a fellow of the 16th IAS National Writers Workshop and is actively involved in the Bathalan ng Halat sa Dagang Subo or Bathalan Subo, a group of Cebuano writers in the Visayas, and he also served as the workshop coordinator of the annual Bathalan Gadis Creative Writers Workshop in Cebu. He also teaches literature, communication, and creative writing to senior high school students. Friends, please help me welcome Roehl Dazo.
I entitled my talk with Reworlding Queer Writing in Cebuano. It is a play of wording and worlding, because I always believe that each word is a world, and each word is an ecosystem. It is a universe, it is a multiverse, that each word has a spirit, has a soul, and can give impact to the readers, even just a single word. And the world I am gonna talk today is the world of queer writing, specifically in Cebuano. The question here is that, do we have a world in queer writing in Cebuano? That's the first question. Naabatay kalibutan sa pagsuwat o tema nga nagtuyok sa kinabuhi sa LGBTQIA+. Kung wala, tingali wala na kalibutan. Kung naaman, tingali gamay kaayo na siya. Di tingali makita. And it is underrepresented. The next question here is that nganong underrepresented ang kaninga world or nearly invisible? Perhaps we can trace on our culture, we can trace it on our tradition or religion. I remember last year during the first Cagis Creative Writers Workshop that is organized by Batalag Cebu. And tomorrow we will have the second Kagis Creative Writers Workshop. There was a fellow, there was an aspiring writer. She's now published in Kabista. She asked the panelists, sir, ma'am, because Ma'am Alburo was there. Ma'am, what if musuwat ko ani na bala about lesbian? What will the society think of me? What will the world think of me if I write in lesbian? If I talk about lesbian writing or gay writing? Will they become angry? Will they get provoked? And there's the fear. And that fear is the root of that underrepresentation and nearly invisible world of queer writing, especially in Cebuano. But the question here, another question here is that nana ba existing world in queer writing? Tingali karon ra nga panahon because of the novel Call Me by Your Name by Andre Asiman, turned now into film, or the play won Palaka Awards 2 years ago, Deadma Walking, or Too Cool to Be Forgotten, or other gay-themed, lesbian-themed play or novel. Are they visible just in the 21st century? Karon ra ba ni sila nagpakita? Wa ba ni sila sa una? The answer there is they are already existing in the past, but we are not aware of their existence. Little much we know that in Greek mythology, the story of Zeus and Ganymede shows queer quality and queer sensibility na anay kabayutan ato nga story ni Zeus and Ganymede. Why? Zeus fell in love with a mortal named Ganymede because he was the most beautiful among all mortals. Because of that, Zeus turned into an eagle, transformed himself into eagle, and took Ganymede and made him as a cupbearer. Siya na serve sa mga gods sa wine para dili mawagtang si Ganymede. And Ganymede had a mistake at that time, and then nasuko si Zeus, pero love magyapon kay ni Zeus si Ganymede. Si male, love. Love man kay niya si Ganymede. Wa niya out ka si Ganymede, but himo siya og star para makita gyapon ni Zeus si Ganymede. Another thing is the story of Achilles and Patroclus in Iliad, an epic of Homer. Little we know that there is a certain relationship, a male-to-male relationship of Achilles and Patroclus. By the lines, they are always kissing, and there is meeting of two thighs. Thus, they experience such intercourse, perhaps. And the term for that in history is pederasty, where an older male guides a younger male. One emperor there, I forgot the name. It was King Alexander. He has a pederasty. He grew up with a male somewhat partner. For example, the king wants to experience, or prince the prince wants to experience kissing, practice making love. And the older male will become the prakisanan, the trainer, and that is pederasty, and it is happening in the past. Thus, homosexuality is already existing in the past, and the world of queer and queer writing is already existing. And it can also be found in the oldest epic in the world entitled the Epic of Gilgamesh, where Gilgamesh and Enkidu has a special relationship. O daghan pa kayo, not only in Rome, not only in Greece, but also in South America, in Asia, China, and Japan. Specifically, the work of Lady Murasaki Shikibu. And now the question, naabay queer writing sa Philippines? The answer is yes. It happened when Danton Remoto and J. Neil Garcia, who are the editors of Ladlad, created such monumental event in literary history. It started with fear that people, that their colleagues might get upset and disappointed of why we are going to publish a gay anthology. Tapos, naay words such as those words and you kids. Public piano place. And this fear limits us. And the writers should be fearless, not only journalists, but also creative writers. That the theme, your content, is not the measurement of who you are. And your writing is the craft itself should be measured and not you as a person. In their background, when Danton Remoto gave a talk in a library, he said that we decided to have Ladlad anthology because I haven't found any book about gay writing in any library in the Philippines. Not even in UP. That's why they have this idea to have one. And they invited other writers, but most of them declined. But given the time of thinking, slowly they set their intent to get published and write and risk. And there is the risk now. And that risk is the genesis of such world in queer writing in the Philippines. And namugna ang Ladlad. Not only one book, but a trilogy. Ladlad 1, 2, and 3. With kuan pa kaayo nga cover, kanang jologs pa kayo nga cover ba. Ayaw pa ninyo i-code kayo sa dito si Jimmy. Anyway, this anthology is a trilogy. The first part of the anthology is about termed down as coffin, because the gay life in the past and this pre-gay literature in the past, kay ang tema, ang story kay hadlok pa sila masakpan sa mama, like taguan pa nilang ilang identity, or masakpan and then lulugon sa papa, yung anang kasagaran na tema o ang konsepto sa Ladlad. The second one is coming out. Slowly, nanay acceptance na itukan ng okay, I'm gay, okay, I'm gay. And the third one in Ladlad is no more kanang coming out, like gay living in the real life with issues still on discrimination, on HIV, on AIDS. And those are the common images in Ladlad 3, especially in the best in Ladlad. Next one is, how about in Visayas and Mindanao? How about in the language Binisaya? Do we have such book? Do we have such writing which tackles on queer writing? I have asked the literary editor of Visaya Magazine, Michelle Lim, he can only trace one writer on 1960s who wrote a short story which has queer sensibility, which has gay, pre-gay literary quality. And the writer is from northern Mindanao in the name of Joe Labuga. But it was only one gay writing on that century. And where's the other writers? They are not there. There is no existence. Earlier in the year 2014, JondyArpilleda, he will perhaps talk tomorrow. Sir Jondy mo talk ba siya diri tomorrow? Karon, ana si Sir Jondy? Palong pa siya. Sir Jondy submitted 2 short stories in Bisaya Magazine, 2 gay stories in Bisaya Magazine, and it was early 2000, followed by my works. Thus, kung ato ipon, kinsa ra ang suwat o queer writing in Binises, especially short story, tulura, mura rami o Holy Trinity ani, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And those reasons became our inspiration and fuel to have Libulan, which is the first queer anthology in Bisaya covering inclusive of LGBTQIA, not only gay, but also lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer, and other spectrum. That we do not only focus on gay, but also the lives of the bisexual, the lives of the trans, the lives of the lesbian, and other straight allies, and those who are two-spirited. And it was a risk, even to myself, because my parents are not they didn't know that I'm talking here about gay writing, and they are at home and that they think that their son is straight. Pero ma-record that is, hi parents. No, it's a risk. You can create such universe because of risk, because of this passion, not because of yourself, but because in the name of Cebuano literature, in the name of Philippine literature, to contribute something essential and something that we should read and we should embrace. The Libulan, the name Libulan, you can check the book at the back, the promotion, diba? The book is 300 pesos. The name Libulan comes from a Visayan deity. This deity has a capability to have gender bending. He could be a male, could be a female, he could be neither. And that is the quality that we theorize in our journey of having such anthology, that there is no straight person, that each one of us has the capability of gender bending, that you can say that you're a straight male, but you appreciate someone who has muscles, then you are using now a feminine spirit. You may say that you're a straight female, but you idolize another female actress or K-pop icon, then you are using that another spirit. But those are just theories, and it has a lot of things to understand on gender studies, and I don't have any background in gender studies. But in this anthology, Libulan, we embrace such spectrum, not only the language, but also the theme. And collecting the works are difficult, especially in marketing it to the audience. Literature in the Philippines are progressing, are still trying to achieve such light. And we can experience it right now, especially on the empty chairs. it speaks a lot about our situation in the literary world. That each one of us needs to push. Konting push pa. And with that, the readership, how much more on the topic of queer literature? So we have a lot of problems to face. And what is important is that we must be fearless and we always need to take a risk. And most of all, we need to keep on writing, we need to keep on reading. Thank you.
Salamat, Roehl. Truly, queer writing it's compelling in its purpose, necessity, and message. So, karon kung kamuna ay mga pangutana sa atong speaker on the topic or related fields, you may again approach the microphone and give your question first. Introduce yourself. So, any questions from the audience for Sir Roehl? Any questions? I think we have one. Questions? Okay, so since there are no questions, let's give Roehl another round of applause for the very insightful talk. Indeed, there is a lot more to be done in terms of promoting literatures in the Philippines. Not just particular genres or kinds of writing, but almost everything. In terms of readership, in terms of reaching out to the communities, which should be the owners or those who should be engaged in enriching our local culture and arts. So thank you again, Roehl, and we hope to see you in our next events. And before you go, we invite you on stage for pictorial with organizers. And Emilio Loyola, natay trivia game. So they will be asking questions or trivia questions on Cebuano language and literature either. And we have these books here as prizes. So these books will be given for free. And you can also find these books at the registration booth. But they will be given for free for those who can answer their questions. So, Clyde and Nino.
Okay, may hapon. Kumusta? Amoy nakatunan? Okay. Alright, again, thank you for the last two speakers for sharing their insights, and I hope you have it inspired you somehow to also do your craft, do your thing. Sige, nakalamit. Nami gamay nga contest, question and answer lang. Nami question bahin sa kanangkuan Binisaya. So, mabutan namin ninyo unsay Bisaya aning ulong. English nga word unsay Bisaya ani. As you know, naay mga Cebuano terms nga na namugna before the Spanish occupation, and some words have evolved after the Spanish occupation. So simple lang kayo pumuntan na sa I hope makatubag mo. The first prize the first book that we will give away is Cebuano poetry, Cebuanong Balak until 1940. So if wala pa mo ani nga libro, may makatubag mo sa among pangutana. So sige, simple lang ang pangutana. Kung sa English ang lisod ba ni sa'yo? Kung sa English, unsay 10 years, unsay tawagan ng grupo sa tuwing nga 10 years, 1 decade. So iyang Hispanic nga term, may kanunay na itong gamiton, dekada. Dekada man. But there is a pre-Hispanic term for that. There's a pre-Hispanic term for that.
Okay, so the first question is, it's really simple, no? We call it a decade in English. And then for Hispanic era, we call it as dekada, no? But in Cebuano or the pre-Hispanic era, what do we call dekada? Cebuano term. So, naagi ko na, naagi terminolohiya na. So anyone can answer. Pwede mo tanong sa inyong dictionary, o tanong sa Google, pwede rin. Sige. What do you call the Cebuano or Bisaya term of dekada? Ang makauna o makatubag na ay premyo nga Cebuano poetry or balang, no? Until from the late 1800s to the early 1900s. Sige na. Pangutan na si Google, ano pa? Google Earth, kung pwede si Google Earth, bahala na siya. Si Mother Earth or sa universe, bahala na mo. Unsay Cebuano or Bisaya na terminolohiya sa dekada. Oh, sige. Unsay imong tubag?
Try ko, JP Arias, answer na kay Napuluan.
Napuluan. Sakto. Napuluan. Simple ra kayo. Kasi kiputanan. Google. Sige, na tayo sa nakadaog, no? Sunod. Ang ikaduha na premyo, ang volume 2, which is from the 1940s to the late 1900s, no, until 1988 from the mga banggiitang manunulat sa Cebuano Bisaya kaniadto, no? Naguluhan kining Cebuano poetry or sa Bisaya pa Cebuanong balak. Ikaduhang pangutana. Okay. Now kini natay gitawag og kamot, no? Natay palad aning parte sa tong kamot. Pero ang pangutana unsay terminolohiya sa kini nga tudlo sa Bisaya. Kung ang imuhang thumb kumagko, unsa may tawag nini? Tubag. Ang ubang terminolohiya gitawag tanig tudlo, pero mas naagi ka ng pre-Hispanic anak niya nga older term sa tudlo, no? Tudlo is bagko naman. Kung kani atong kuandre kumangko, no? Kani kumingking, kani ang palad. Apan akong pangutana, unsay tawag ani? Naman. Unsa man? Nawala. Unsa to? Unsay tawag ani? Kumagko. Kani? Ang kani? Wala yan. Amo na lang ikwan. Amo lang sayon-sayonan. Kaya pulisora, eh. Ang tawagan niya, no? Dili. Assignment lang na ninyo. Assignment lang. Sige. Ikaw na lang. Kumagko, kumingking, palad, anlalabaw. Anlalabaw. Or anlalabaw. No? Una siya tawag. Sige. Ani na lang. Sa oras ta. Gamit ang oras. Kung ang 1 minute, minuto, unsa may terminolohiya sa Cebuanong Bisaya? Sige. Sige, again. Balik na ha. Oras ni oras. Mo ninyong reference. Kung ang usa ka oras, oras. Kung ang usa ka minuto, or 1 minute is called minuto. Pero, what do you call minuto in Cebuano, Bisaya? O sige ma'am. Sige ma'am, alimam. Sus, alimam, sige ma'am, ikaw. Suway lang. Sige na ma'am. Naay mo tubag, sige. Unsa man?
Sir, good luck.
Good luck, yes. Correct. Nakadaog siya og basahan na ha. Ayaw display. Sunod. At least 3 volunteers. 3 volunteers. Why labot sa nakadaog na ha? Sige. While waiting for Miss Bambi Beltran for a talk on acting, let's continue playing the game. So, kaning mga libro nga ito. Sige, alibay, kanig. Ali. Now, ang tawag kaning nga trivia or tuwa, no? Kay kuan, kanang Cebuanong mga ngawit. Now, based sa ato mga players karon, murundown sila og mga Cebuano artists, maybe all the older generation of singers or writers, or the newer generation. Now, if mahutdan sila og mga isulti nga kinsa nga writer o kinsa unsay mga kanta, most likely tagak na ko to. Kung kinsay mabili nilang tulo, maoy mo daog. Okay? Ha? Wala reference. Kuan lang, how Cebuano man, kasi namin tayo sa Cebu, most likely mga Cebuano man ta, mga Bisaya man ta. So, at least know your kanang roots pa. Kinsay niyo ang mga mga Cebuano artist. So, sugdan na to. Sige, linya. So, pwede karaan, pwede bago. Or i-categorize lang nato sa karaan o bago. Sa mga pwede. Ayaw lang, sige. Sugod ta. Padool mo tulog eh. Hindi punta kuan. Sige, sugod ta. So, trial pa ni ha. Cebuano man daw kung ingon. So, 1, 2, 3. Bisaya ha?
R. Joseph Dazo.
Missing Filemon.
Jewel Goodvilla Flores.
J.P. Arias.
Bonso.
Taga ko sa. So sila na lang duha. Ato ang rato ka simple. Sige. Karon specific ta artist na specific artist. Dili ta ko na. Okay ra, naara lagi na mong gawas. Karaan or bago ha. Ayaw kalimtin yung karaan. So good.
Gunita Robles.
Sama tagak na ni. Bihiri ko siya na to. Sige. Saya rin yung ginaugol itong libro. But anyway, mubalik kami niya since Ma'am Bambi is already here. And then...
Sunod nato na speaker is, I think perhaps, one of the most versatile local artists that we have. She is not only a poet, but is also a fictionist and a playwright who writes both in Cebuano and English. She is a visual artist, an entrepreneur, and an actress. Her breakthrough role as lead actress was in the short film Pagbalik in 2006. She has been involved in several short and full-length films as actress, writer, director, and producer. Some of the films are Confessional, Gamgo de Eleuteria, Diingon Nato, Cartas de la Soledad, Aberia, and the Lav Diaz film Mula sa Kung Ano Ang Noon. She is a member of Bathalan ng Halit sa Dagang Subo and Women in Literary Arts, where she is also a former chair. She is with us this afternoon to speak about acting. With a big round of applause, let us welcome Maria Victoria Beltran.
Daghang salamat. Ayong hapon sa inyong tanan. I think most of you or all of you might be wondering na National Literary Month, yung acting and topic. So, like to tell you my story. My romance with words started in elementary grade. You know, I was the type of little girl who recite Little Boy Blue, Good Morning Sun, Good Morning Sky. First, I like to perform, and then later, I like to write. As far as I can remember, I always liked writing. And so I became a writer. I used to have a column in Cebu Daily News, Lifestyle. I have some works published in books. And I won 2 times in a row at the Gawad Commission for Cebuano Fiction. And so I thought to myself, Bambi, you are now a writer. And then I became an actress by accident. The story was, a friend of mine, Publio Briones, went to school, IAFD, film school. He has to make his thesis film. And then his actress backed out at the last minute. Publio is a good friend of mine. He ran to me and asked me to do the lead. Pagbalik. We worked together on the script a little bit. And then I made my first act. I was never in theater. But I was a performer. I belonged to the dance troupe of UP. I'm very athletic. But never theater. Anyway, Pagbalik did well. It won in CCP, the best regional film. And it made us excited to make films. It made me very interested in films because for the first time I see the characters that I imagine, I see them alive on the screen. It's a very strange experience. So after Pagbalik, Roehl Dazo, I don't know if you know him. His last film was General Luna. But Roehl Dazo actually started filmmaking in Cebu. He attended some workshop by IAFD. His first short film was made in Cebu, Carpool. And the first full-length directed by Roehl Dazo was a Cebuano film, Confessional. That was my first full-length film as an actress. And we were so proud because it won almost all the prizes in the first Cinema One Original Film Festival. Confessional is a Cebuano film directed by Roehl Dazo. And after this, I wrote my first ever script, short film, and acted on it as well. And this, we would like to show. Are you ready with Babaylan? Hindi mo play ko na akong hard drive sa iyo. That's a pity because Babaylan is... I actually wrote a Babaylan chant. I would have liked you to hear it. It's my imagination of a Babaylan chant. So while we wait, if they can put it on, I continue. So after Babaylan, to make the long story short, I found myself as a member of the Cinema Committee at the National Commission for Cultural Arts representing the Visayas. But all the time, when people ask me what I do, I always say, I'm a writer. And this is what I found out. The transition from writing to acting should be easy. why when we write, we create images, we create realities, we invent, yeah? When we act, we do the same. But we externalize it. We show it. If you look at all the acting techniques, except for the classical method, we start with the Stanislavski method, the Lee Strasberg method. Are you familiar? Anyway, there are many acting techniques. The classical method is the old style. You don't have to feel it, you just have to act externally. You cry, you slap somebody, you serve tea. Doesn't matter what you think. That is the classical technique, and it works well for Shakespeare. And in 1913, I think in 1913, Konstantin Stanislavski, who was an actor and director for the Moscow Art Theater, started to look into making a system out of acting. Because if you notice, you don't need a degree to be an actor. So what he tried to do was to make a system to train people to be actors. And how did he do it? He started, first of course it's the physical, you have to be fit. So you do some exercise, you do breathing, you even dance, swim, whatever. And then he tries to prepare you emotionally. And so he called it affective memory. When you act on a death scene, you try to remember from your subconscious if you have a relative who died, then you take your feelings from that. And some of those actors take it to the extreme. I don't know if you heard about Al Pacino gaining 50 pounds to act in this boxer film, Raging Bull. Yeah, Raging Bull. He gained 50 pounds to act as the retirement days of what's his name, the boxer in Raging Bull, Daniel Day-Lewis. Is also very notorious that he does not go out of character for the whole time that he's acting, because he wants to stay where he is. And some people say it could be dangerous if you stay in a mental hospital for a month because your role is that of a schizophrenic, then maybe you will continue to be a schizophrenic. Anyway, the Moscow Art Theater came to the US in the 1930s. And a group of theater directors and actors watched the plays, and they were so impressed how natural everybody was. From the littlest role to the lead actors and actresses, everything was so natural. They were trained by Stanislavski. So in the States, they formed the group theater. Lee Strasberg, Kirkman, and Crawford. And then they improved on Stanislavski's method. I don't know if you heard about Lee Strasberg. He has trained many name actors, Marilyn Monroe, Al Pacino, I think. And then some of the actors in the group theater are Stella Adler, who also became a very famous acting coach. There were around 28 actors. Elia Kazan, the famous director, also belongs to this group. And this ushered in the so-called method acting, popularized first by Lee Strasberg. Stella Adler veered away from this affective memory and say you should be able to imagine and not really experience it. But if you notice, what is important in acting is to find the truth in your acting. And it's the same with writing. If you write in all honesty, you will be more effective. So they said that technical problem is solved. I would like to show you babaylan. Karon pa makikita ito, babaylan. Okay, that film was made in 2007. If you notice, even Roehl Dazo was our musical scorer. before he made it in Manila. So, where did I stop? Yeah, Strasbourg. I wonder if you hear about these names. And I also wonder if you are aware that there are writers who are actors and actors who are writers. So what I'm trying to say is, mga writers na akong audience, are there writers in the audience? That it is just one step away to acting. Kay bao naman mo to wear different hats, you know. Yung sulat mo, kaninga character, katong character, then you have to know the truth of that character to be able to write. And that's the same with acting. Like I said, you just show it. You just externalize it. Anyway, after the method acting craze, then came the Meissner method, which is mula siya og tubag sa method acting na you don't have to feel it. You just have to be very sensitive to your ka-eksena. And that's where the repetition training came about. Now, part of the training is to repeat each other until there is an effect. So, acting is reduced to the simplest denominator. And then the truth will also come out. And we also have the improv. You must be familiar of the improv technique, where you give two actors a situation and they just act it out. But it's supposed to be more natural than memorizing your lines and doing the usual acting methods, like the classical. So I have another story to tell. I don't know if you know about the film, Ang Damgo ni Eleuteria. Ang Damgo ni Eleuteria is the second Cebuano film that was made during the contemporary cinema time. That's after the golden age nila Gloria Sevilla. So I always say the first one was Confessional, the second one was Ang Damgo. And I'm always proud to say that I wrote Ang Damgo and it started out as fiction. Ang Damgo ni Eleuteria Kirschbaum was a short story that became a full-length film. And it went on to win the Gawad Urian for Best Film. I think until now, it's the only Cebuano film that won Best Picture at the Gawad Urian, which is supposed to be one of the most prestigious award-giving bodies in the Philippines. And I'm very proud to say that it came out from a Cebuano fiction. And I would like to encourage writers to look into screenplay writing. Experience your characters moving in front of you. And we would like to welcome you to the club. The second story I'd like to tell happened around 4 years ago. I'm originally from Butuan City, from the jungles of Butuan City. Anyway, and they invited me to judge in a Muchahong Butuan beauty pageant, which was strange because I was never a beauty queen before. And I accepted it. And they asked for my resume so that they know how to introduce me. And so they found out that I'm into arts. And the Butuan Tourism Council requested me if I can do a workshop, an art workshop for Butuan, for young Butuanan students. And I took the opportunity and I said I would like to do a film workshop because it involves everything. It involves writing, it involves visual arts, it involves music. So film is like a collaboration of all these artists together. And they agreed, and then I said, and after the workshop, I want you to produce a short film. So that after we do the theory, then we do the practical. And so we did it. I went back to my little village, to the public high school there, made an acting workshop. I did the Meisner technique, and the characters were, anyway, in my story, the characters were very close to the reality. So this film, everyone was a first-timer, except me. I wrote and directed the film, but everyone from the production design, from the actors and actresses, music, musical scoring, cinematography, everybody was first-timer, product of the film workshop that I did with, I don't know if you know Dean, it's San Carlos film. With Direct Jim Libiran from Manila. So there were some of us, supposedly facilitators from Cebu and Manila. And I would like, I think it's better that I show you the film. Again, that's the second film I show this afternoon. I hope you enjoy it. This time, it really started as a screenplay. Babaylan and Ang Tambo started as fiction. This, I wrote it, it was a screenplay. Okay, thank you. So, hope you enjoyed the film, the short film. And in conclusion, I would like to encourage all of you to continue writing if you're writing, to start writing if you are not yet writing, and then maybe you can move on to acting. Thank you very much.
Daghang salamat ng Bambi for sharing with us the films, very interesting films, and your insights not just on acting but also on writing and the connections we find between the two. So, yeah, so if you have questions for Ms. Bambi, you can approach the mic and introduce yourself and then give your question. And for this open forum, we only have 2 slots for the questions. Yes? You may proceed, right?
So, good morning, ma'am. So, based on what you shared earlier, that you weren't really an actress, right? Then, same as you, I'm not an actor, but but in school performances, I made the scripts, and sometimes I'm the lead character. Because, yeah, I tend to put my imagination into action. Then, can you give me institutions that will somehow guide me or help me? If ever I'll be someone or something will push me to proceed in acting.
Tips on acting. Acting is actually, you find it yourself. You find yourself what works for you. May uban, like when I acted in the Love DS film, mula sa kung ano-ano, I found it very, very effective when he started telling me just the story about the character. Yeah. My character was a sort of babaylan who comes down to the village once a year, dance in the maze, heal people, but it was a Muslim babaylan. But anyway, for me, being in the location, wearing the costume, reading the lines, already helps bring me into the scene. Yeah? And then, like if my character was Bayrama and I say, my name is Bayrama, I convince myself, my name is Bayrama, yeah? So I really think it's up to you what works for you. But what can I advise you is to be familiar with the classical technique, with Stanislavski technique, Strasbourg technique. There are so many, but these are the 5 big Meissner. And now the latest one I think is physical aesthetics, which is moving away from method. And then you find out for yourself. And it can also be a combination. You don't have to be a purist method or purist Meissner. And keep on acting. Same like writing. Keep on writing, keep on acting. Practice, practice.
Thank you, Ma'am Bambi. Any more questions from the audience? One last question.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My question is from all over those years that you've been a writer. For me, what does it take to be called a real writer? Or what does it take to be a writer?
You know, to be very strict, I always thought that if I call myself a writer, I should write at least 1 hour a day. Then I am a writer. At least 1 hour a day, except Sunday maybe. It's like a profession. You do it every day. It's like I'm a doctor. I go to the hospital every day. That's very strict. Anyway, another thing is outputs. If you wrote already 100 poems or 20 fictions, or it should give you more clout to call yourself a writer. And maybe awards help. Actually, when I won this Gawad Mission Awards, I was not anymore ashamed to say I'm a writer. It's like a reinforcement. It doesn't have to, but it helps. But I think, seriously, write. Then you're a writer.
Salamat, Ma'am Bambi.